All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to Star Wars Mark of Balance. My name is Mark, and I think Disney and Lucasfilm hurt us because we finally got a proper follow-up trailer to the Mandalorian and Grogu movie that is set to release on May 22nd of this year. This comes only 9 days after the baffling decision to air a Clydesdale Budweiser spoof ad during the Super Bowl, which rightfully got dragged by a majority of the Star Wars fandom and left audiences more confused than excited about the fact that there is a Star Wars movie coming out in less than 6 months. I personally didn't mind the ad itself, but blowing $8 to $10 million of your budget to not air an extremely hype teaser trailer that emphasizes the fact that yes, Star Wars is back in movie theaters after a 6-year hiatus was a huge mistake. So I have no doubt that the trailer that we got today was a direct result of all of that very constructive feedback that we gave over the past week or so. I'd have a hard time believing that this was the original marketing plan and timeline, because why would you spend $8 to $10 million to just air a better trailer 9 days later for free? Or maybe I'm completely wrong and this was the plan from the start. And if that's the case, Lucasfilm might need a new marketing team. Regardless, let's talk about today's trailer. I think this is easily the best trailer we've gotten for the movie so far. Granted, the bar wasn't very high, and I still think that this batch of movie trailers that we've gotten for The Mandalorian and Grogu are the weakest crop of Star Wars movie trailers we've ever gotten. Even the Rise of Skywalker trailers tricked me into thinking that they would be able to land the plane that was the sequel trilogy. But this trailer did deliver some moments that piqued my interest and got me a bit more excited for the movie overall. They are definitely promising a galaxy-spanning adventure. We see the Hutt homeworld of Nal Hata. We see a snow-covered Imperial base that Mando infiltrates. We see some shots of a cityscape-type planet. It might be Coruscant, I'm not sure. But Martin Scorsese is running a food truck, which is pretty cool and a nice nod to the friendship that him and George Lucas had back in the 70s when they were both coming up. And we finally got a better look at some of the supporting cast that'll be joining Mando and Grogu for the adventure. We see Zeb and Rado the Hutt. We don't get to hear Jeremy Allen White as Rado yet, but Zeb does get a line in this trailer, and he looks pretty good. But the character I was most surprised by, and honestly the most excited for, was the bounty hunter Embo, who is from the Clone Wars series. I absolutely love Embo. I think his character design is peak, and he looks great in this trailer. I love how dramatic his scene is with him in the rain, and it looks like he's tasked with hunting down Din and Grogu because we see him outside their homestead. I don't know how much he'll actually be in the movie. Maybe he's just the inciting incident that gets Grogu and Mando to leave the planet. But either way, I'm really excited to see what they do with him. If he doesn't slide on his hat or throw his hat and knock someone out during this movie, I'll be real upset with you, Dave Filoni. There are some shots in this trailer that do give off more of a cinematic feeling that I think has been missing from previous trailers. The opening shot with the X-Wings coming at the camera during sunset and the music swelling, I think that was great. But honestly, most of this trailer still felt like a Disney Plus series and not a Star Wars movie event. The lighting is still really flat and homogeneous. There's a lot of CGI in this trailer that was really disappointing, especially with the Hutts. They did Jabba the Hutt in 1983, more than 40 years ago, and somehow we've reverted to CGI Hutts. There's a moment when Grogu picks up a mouse droid and it falls apart. Again, that would have been a great moment to have practical effects, but they really lean into the more CGI look. This was a huge red flag for me because Star Wars has always hung its hat on practical effects. That's what sets Star Wars apart from all the other science fiction and franchises out there. It felt tactile. It felt real. And I think this trailer disappointingly alludes to the fact that practical effects weren't a priority for this movie. Obviously, Grogu is still a fully puppeteered character, and I don't want to take credit away from that. And George Lucas used a lot of CGI during the prequels. Most of those films were CGI, but that was cutting edge at the time, and it was pushing the medium of filmmaking forward. Here, it felt like a budgetary thing. This is the lowest budget for a Star Wars movie ever, and I'm sure practical effects were the first thing on the chopping block when it came to budgeting out this movie. The final big reveal from this trailer that I want to discuss is the fact that we get Pedro Pascal without the helmet on for large portions of this trailer. A lot of people were nervous, myself included, that Pedro would be so busy, he's been in so many things recently, that he wouldn't have time to be on set and film any scenes, and he would only lend his voice to the role. But it's nice to know that we will get an actual performance from Pedro Pascal. That was something huge that was missing in Season 3, one of the many issues with Season 3. And this seems to be in a pivotal point in the movie where the Hutts are threatening Grogu, and Din gets dropped into this basilisk pit instead of a rancor pit. He has to fight this huge snake monster, which again feels like a nod to Return of the Jedi. I just want to feel connected to Din again. The end of Season 2 was so powerful, it was so emotional because we had Pedro Pascal on screen, and I want to feel that again with this movie. So yeah, those are pretty much all my thoughts on this trailer. I enjoyed this one much more than the other ones. I still think this is the bottom of the barrel when it comes to Star Wars movie trailers, but at least we're trending in the right direction, and I'm a little bit more excited for this film now. I still don't like the fact that this looks like a Disney Plus TV series, and they've done pretty much nothing to upgrade the cinematic quality of it outside of a couple shots in here. There's an alarming lack of practical effects, especially with the Hutts. And as of right now, I'm not really sold on the story itself. I think this has to end with a tease that Thrawn has taken over the Imperial Remnant or Mando discovering that fact. But otherwise, this looks like the storyline for Mandalorian Season 4. Din and Grogu going on adventures and planet hopping and fighting a monster a week, just now doing it over 2 hours instead of over 8 episodes, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because that's what Season 1 was, and Season 1 was the most pure form of the show. But I'm more so worried about the pacing and how they'll be able to sequence these events without it feeling too rushed. It's a lot to fit in one movie, but Star Wars has been able to do it in the past, so I'm hoping they're able to do it here. The bottom line is, no matter how many trailers they release for this film, good or bad, there is a palpable sense of apathy and lack of interest towards this film. And that's because people can sense, myself included, something disingenuous about how this film was pulled together, how it's being marketed, and how it's being released to us. It's clear that this was never part of the long-term plan, and that this was a direct result of the fact that they couldn't put a Star Wars movie in theaters over the past 6 years. So they had to default to something they thought was reliable, like The Mandalorian and Grogu. And I think that's in the back of a lot of people's minds, and no amount of marketing, good or bad, is going to change that. But that's all I got. Please let me know your thoughts in my comments below. Would love to talk to you guys about how you're feeling about this movie. Thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video. It means a lot. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and may the Force be with you. Peace.